Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday and it is the 4th of December. And this video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. So let's have a look at what happened yesterday. Most significant stuff that happened yesterday in US market. We had Tesla that had a very good day, almost 4% higher, back above the cloud as we can see here. We have RSI knocking on the door to the 60 threshold. If it does close above, because last time it actually closed below that right there. So we were actually in a negative sentiment slightly. But as we can also see, RSI, the price graph, it never closed below the cloud, and the 100 moving average is rising, and now we have the Teslas here pushing higher here, just below 450. I think we will see the uptrend has resumed. Strong support down here, and we could see the peak up here being challenged within a few weeks, especially if we get the RSI to close above 60 threshold going into positive sentiment, and I do believe we will see that. Other than that, we saw the broad semiconductor markets had a very good day yesterday, also almost 2% higher on the SOXX ETF here. The quite interesting thing though was that Nvidia was actually down. It was down 0.9%. So it is the other smaller companies, chip manufacturers that are down, that were up when Nvidia was down. RSI back above 60 thresholds, and we are very close to its all-time highs. So the other chip makers are doing really, really good, whereas Nvidia, very quickly, as we can see here, it's struggling quite a bit, and it really needs to get back above the cloud here, especially back above 55 moving average and the peak there at that little 185.66. Then maybe we could re-establish the bullish trend. It will be confirmed if it moves back above 196. The overall market, Nasdaq 100, testing or very close to testing resistance there at 25,663. A close above. Bullish trend is confirmed, and RSI will also then be back above 60 threshold. Positive sentiment further confirming bullish trend. So let's see here next few days. Pre-market, we are very, very close to it, but it's like that there is really something going on there, some resistance going on. So let's see here the next few days. S&P 500, also it's 6,890 resistance that is key. RSI also knocking on the 60 threshold there, needs to close back above, because we were actually below here, resetting everything. So we are still in a negative sentiment, but it looks fairly bullish, and I think we will see it crawling higher here towards Christmas and year end. So the Christmas rally, I don't know if it will be a rally as such, but the Christmas bullish market seems to be coming back in motion after this little scare we had here a couple of weeks ago. The Russell 2000, very strong yesterday, 1.8% on the ETF that illustrates the Russell 2000 small cap, very close to its all-time highs, was back above the cloud here some time ago. RSI still isn't back above 60 threshold, just tried it twice, but if it does get back above, it will further support much higher levels coming in the coming weeks and towards the year and possibly into the new year. In Asian session, well, it is still Hang Seng struggling a little bit without any clear direction really. What is it forming really? Not really anything meaningful. Negative sentiment though, but it needs to get back about 25,145. 25,145 is the key support, and let's remove this one because it's obsolete. But if it moves back above the 55 moving average and above 26,264, well then maybe it could re-establish bullish trend. Nikkei, this is the future we're looking at, not the cash index, this future, is above the minor resistance there at 50,615, and RSI very close to get back above 60 threshold. I think it will move back above. We are resuming a bullish trend. and we could see it pushing higher in the coming days and weeks. And if we do this to it, add Fibonacci to it, well, we can also see it actually stop this morning here at 61.8 retracement at 50,913. So I think we will see it crawling higher if it can stay above here, and I believe it will in the coming days and weeks. European markets, EuroStoxx50, slightly positive day yesterday. If RSI can get back above the falling trend line, this is what you can do. You can draw trend lines on the RSI or most indicators actually, as well as you can on the actual price graph here. And what I will do here, see, will this help me? Also, you can see we are hovering around the 61.8 retracement there, just around 6,686.5 area. I think we are in a slightly positive tone. We are above the 55, moving actually above the cloud, and we will soon also think get back above 64. So we are already in a positive sentiment, despite the fact there is some divergence. You can see the value has been declining, but if RSI gets back above the falling trend line, then I think we'll see higher levels, and we are possibly looking at a fairly strong market towards the end of the year. You can see here pre-market we are pushing higher a little bit towards the 786 retracement. DAX index, that is the weakest of them. Of them too, and despite the fact some of the companies are in both indices, but they are not really running the show here. Still depressed below the moving averages, but I think we could see maybe crawling higher. Pre-market we are up about 0.25%, so maybe we'll try to, but there's some strong overhead resistance in these areas around 24,000. That could be a bit of a struggle, and we're still showing negative sentiment on the RSI. Yeah, so we can see here up a tad pre-market on the DAX index here at the DR40 CFD. So maybe it can crawl higher here next few days, try to build a bullish trend. The FX market, there has been a little bit of action yesterday on euro dollar that moved back above the 116.55. RSI back above 60 threshold, now in a positive sentiment. We have actually established a bullish trend now here with a higher low and now a higher high, and there's potential up to 117.25. It's not the strongest resistance though, but it's a upper part of cloud in this region here. So I don't think it will be a slam dunk where it just moves higher. But I think we are establishing this bullish trend. So short term, we could see a little bit more pushing higher here. Just very quickly looking at the weekly chart, it has been very without any direction the past couple of months, to say the least. So it can really quickly change again if your dollar is being knocked back down 115.5. Then downtrend could resume. On sterling dollar, very close to the 786 retracement and the 100 moving average there. RSI also back in positive sentiment. Has established this bullish trend here, higher lows, higher high, and a little bit of correction there, and then again higher high, and I think we'll see 133.30 being tested. If it's taking out and if we can back above the cloud here, well, then suddenly there's room up to this area around at the high of 134s and 135 in this region here. It is not out of question given the fact that we now have positive sentiment on the RSI. Euro sterling to the weaker side yesterday, still RSI above 40 threshold, so that is a little bit the other way, if you will. Some minor support here at 87.25. We also have a little bit of cloud support, so it is a little bit annoying in the sense that there's no clear picture really, but if RSI can get back above 60 threshold, and doesn't seem like it at the moment, then we are in a negative tone at the moment. If it moves back below 87.25, then there is room down to 86.55. Not quite sure we'll get down there, but it is a possibility. However, if it can move back above the 88 level here, 88 and a bit, well, then uptrend could resume, but that's where we are at the moment. Not the clearest picture. Dollar yen, couldn't really get momentum after bouncing off the support and the 38.2 retracement there. This one is this Fibonacci set there is just a little bit just blurring the picture. So will we have a retest? Will we have a move down to 152.80? I'm not quite sure, but if it takes out the lows there from the 1st of December at 154.65, then I'm fairly confident we will get a move down to the 152.80, where we have the 55 moving average coming up and the 61.8 retracement. That could be in the cards. But again, as I stressed many times, there is no divergence on the RSI. The RSI value is supporting higher levels, so I think we will get it eventually. Just need to see what will play out the next few days. Euro yen still sideways, so this is the range 179.75 and 182 that it needs to break out of. Aussie yen crawling higher in what could look like a rising wedge-like formation. RSI above its falling trend line. So it's breaking this trend here of falling peaks on the RSI values. There's still divergence, but still it could push higher here on the Aussie yen in the coming weeks, unless it takes out 100 level here. But keep an eye on also the rising trend line. That could be the first clue. But for now, it looks fairly strong, and we are above the 102.40 minor resistance there. There's not really much stopping it for not pushing higher in the coming weeks. We can also see on the weekly here, all moving averages are pointing higher. Sterling yen higher yesterday, and it's getting very, very close to the 208 and a bit peak there from July last year, and I think we will reach it within a fairly short time. Aussie dollar pushing higher after breaking the falling trend line there. 66.30 is the next one, and I'm fairly confident we will reach it possibly today, and also very possible to take it out. We can see now both moving averages are turning around here. Positive sentiment supporting the higher levels on Aussie dollar, and I think we'll see it pushing higher in the coming weeks. We could see a little bit of a setback if when it reaches 66.30 and then next move higher. Dollar Canada is still above the 200 moving average, which is actually declining, so dragging it down a little bit, but 100 coming up there. So we have some fairly strong support in this area here, just above 139. RSI once again seems to be bouncing off 40 threshold, and that could be a sign of strength. If it moves back above the falling trend line, well, then I think we'll see uptrend resuming, and especially, and let me just also do it here, it's just that little peak up there at 140.15. If it takes out that, well, then I think uptrend is likely to resume, or at least a move up to around 141. We have some strong resistance up here at 141.30. Sterling Canada is strong move there yesterday, back to the 50% and the cloud area here. Excuse me. RSI still didn't manage to close above 60 threshold, so it's still technically in a negative sentiment, but it seems like it's trying to build a bullish momentum here. And technically it has done it, but it's not just supported and confirmed by RSI close higher. So let's see if it can actually crawl higher into above the cloud here and towards 187, or will it slide back? The moving averages are pointing to higher levels, so I think we will get it eventually, but a little bit of setback could be seen before it will have another go. EURUSD is just humming sideways here around the 93.25, 93.5. So it actually needs to take out that for the next push higher towards 93.85, 94 area. Dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss 50% retracement, which is a little bit unusual, but of course it has to do that before it actually moves down to the 61.8, which it could do here at 97.63. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but really not any clear direction to say we are above the cloud, but you can see the moving average pointing, well, maybe a little to the sideways, a little bit to the down. So wouldn't be surprised to see it dipping down to there and then maybe a bounce. But if it takes it out, if it really stays below here, well, then we have a complete dip situation with lower levels. Let's see about that. Or can it crawl back above 80.5? So not a most clear picture there. Dollar index closed yesterday below the minor support there, 98.87. Bounced from the 55 moving average, so dancing around this minor support level here. RSI closed just below the 60 threshold. The 40 threshold, so technically it's in a negative sentiment, and it could push lower. You see it broke this rising trend line there. The 200 moving average is pushing it down, but we have the 55 kind of locking it in, so we could see maybe a little bit of sideways stepping there. But if it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, we could see a move down to around 98 and a half. In this region here, 98.35, where we then have the 100 moving average giving it a little bit of support. On the metal side, gold hasn't really got its mojo back after it broke above the falling trend line. It really needs to take out the peak there at 42.65. I always add a little bit, 42.65. Then I think we'll see a push up to 4,400, possibly higher. But as I mentioned several times before, often when you see a triangle breakout, it tries to get back into it or test the upper falling trend line if it with a bullish breakout. So still positive sentiment. So the underlying is still positive, but a little bit weaker. We could see it setting back a little bit more. The silver spot here looks a little bit toppish. We have a bearish candle today. If that's also the case at the end of the day, well, then we actually have a top and reversal pattern in place, and we could see a correction down to at least 55, maybe a lower. We do have divergence on the RSI. You can see that the RSI values were much higher here than here, where the market actually moved higher. So that's a sign of an uptrend exhaustion. But be careful, if it takes out the peak there just below 59, well, 60 plus is in the cards. Platinum needs to take out that peak there to at 1733, 34 to continue higher. Copper, on the other hand, is on a bullish run at the moment, strongly supported by positive sentiment on the RSI. I think we will see it crawling higher towards the 786 retracement of this massive sell-off here back in July at 561, 561 there. And there's not much strong resistance. Of course, there's a little bit jittery over here, but we are in a bullish trend, and it seems like we are pushing higher and should move higher back to previous peaks there. Of course, there will be setbacks, so be careful. The WTI crude oil has bounced 50%, could bounce up to the 60.5 level here, where we have the 55 moving average coming down, we have the lower part of the cloud, and we have the 61.8 retracement. So even if it gets up there, then I think we'll be knocked back down and downtrend to resume. It is already in downtrend, but just in a bit of a correction phase at the moment. More or less the same picture there on the Brent crude oil, bouncing a little bit, could crawl up to the 64 area where we have the 55 moving average pushing it lower. EU nat gas seems to have found some ground here, just around 27.90 support, dipped below a couple of times. There's still risk to the downside, but the RSI is a little bit stressed at the moment. I actually thought we would have a bit of a correction, not a big one, maybe up to around 29 and a bit, but the overall picture is lower levels on EU nat gas. US nat gas, on the other hand, really strong bullish trend, building up a little bit of weakness here on the RSI that is declining, so a little bit stretched. But we can see here on the weekly where we are. We're in this what we call the fast area, and it's also fairly fast here, and we are above $5, and we could see it pushing higher in the coming weeks, the coming winter. But be careful, it is a little bit stretched short term. On the yields side, interest rates, US Treasury yields, and the bigger picture, it's basically just sideways trading, but and it needs to get back above here, 420 to the upper side or 398 to the downside. That's really what it needs to do to give an indication. But what is key to watch, and we can get some guidance from it, the 55 moving average is starting to turn around here, whereas the 100 and 200 are declining. So we could actually be tucked in this range behavior here for quite some time, and that will make me look a little bit silly, or just not give any clear direction at all, or indication of what I think will happen. On the European yields, in a bullish trend towards 280, a little bit stressed, but 280, we can see 55 moving average coming out there, giving some support and indicating we are likely to crawl higher. UK still in this area around 446, no clear direction, to be honest. Moving on to the Japanese, that is really on fire, and it is eyeing 2%. No divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels, so 2% could be reached fairly soon. Finally, on the cryptos and Bitcoin, after the strong bounce there the past 48 hours, we are on move towards the 61.8 retracement, 97,184 here, and where we also have some resistance. It seems like it, unless it suddenly takes out the lows there from a few days ago. I don't think it will. I think we'll see it crawling higher. Ethereum already testing the 38.2 retracement. If it can take it out, well, then there's also potential up to the stronger resistance here around 3,630. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day, and keep charting out there, but be careful.